It's the German U-boat U-576, which has rested here since July 1942.
History isn't found in books. Sometimes it's resting silently at the bottom of the ocean. Beneath the waves, untouched for decades, lie secrets that were never meant to be uncovered. Story is one of them. What began as a routine sonar scan by an oil company quickly escalated into one of the most astonishing deep-sea discoveries in modern memory. A sunken Nazi U-boat, perfectly preserved in icy depths, held within its corroded hull something far more chilling than rusted machinery. From cryptic journals and gold bars to encrypted devices and skeletal remains, what divers brought back up sent shockwaves through the historical community. This isn't just a wartime relic. It's a mystery that could rewrite part of World War II's final chapter. And you're about to hear the full story. Beneath the icy waters off Norway's rugged coastline lies a chilling relic of World War II, a German U-boat resting silently on the ocean floor. For decades, whispers haunted this region, tales of a strange metallic structure spotted by fishermen and divers, dismissed as sea myths or sunken cargo ships. But in 2018, those rumors turned into reality. A sonar scan by a Norwegian oil company revealed a 220-foot-long submarine, intact, eerie, and unmistakably German. This wasn't just any wartime wreck. Identified as U-977, this submarine had long been wrapped in mystery and conspiracy. After Germany's surrender in 1945, U-977 disappeared, sparking decades of speculation. According to official accounts, it surfaced in Argentina months later, claiming to have surrendered voluntarily. But the long delay and unclear route fed theories that something more sinister had transpired. Had it carried high-ranking Nazi officials fleeing Europe? Was it transporting secret technology or looted treasure? The wreck's discovery reignited those questions, reminding the world that some chapters of history are never truly closed. What made the find even more chilling was the condition of the vessel. The hull showed minimal damage, suggesting it hadn't sunk due to combat. Instead, it seemed as though the U-boat had been intentionally scuttled, sunk deliberately, perhaps to keep its contents from ever being discovered. The sealed hatches and lack of an external breach fueled dark speculation. What exactly had this submarine been hiding when it slipped beneath the waves? The discovery of U-977 was not the result of a targeted military search, but rather a fortunate accident. A Norwegian oil company, during a routine deep-sea mapping operation, stumbled across an anomaly on the ocean floor. Their autonomous underwater vehicle captured sonar images that showed the unmistakable contours of a German-type Sea Link U-boat. It was a chilling silhouette from a dark chapter in human history. Once identified, the site was secured. Experts in naval warfare, marine archaeology, and World War II history were brought in to examine the wreck. This was not just about confirming a shipwreck. It was about uncovering potential truths buried for over 70 years. The Norwegian government authorized a multi-million-dollar expedition to document the site in detail, using remotely operated vehicles to capture footage, collect samples, and analyze the interior, though access remained strictly controlled. The cold waters of the North Sea had kept the secrets of U-977 safe for decades. But now, the world had a chance to finally learn what lay within this underwater tomb, one that may still hold answers to some of the most enduring mysteries of the Second World War. At depths of over 700 feet, the recovery operation to explore the wreck of U-977 was anything but routine. This was a hostile environment, a place where water pressure could crush a human body in seconds. Environment no traditional dive team could survive those depths without advanced equipment. The first phase of the mission relied entirely on remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, which were lowered carefully into the icy waters. Equipped with high-definition cameras and mechanical arms, these machines began a cautious inspection of the submarine. What they captured was haunting. The U-boat sat upright, largely intact, as if it had gently settled into its final resting place. There was no evidence of a violent end, no blast holes, no torn steel. The torpedo tubes were still sealed. The main hatches, too, were closed tightly, raising a disturbing question. Had the crew intended to vanish without a trace? As the footage streamed in, the dive team on the surface prepared for something far more dangerous: human entry. Over several weeks, they rehearsed every movement, how to navigate tight corridors, how to manage equipment at depth, and how to exit safely in case of emergency. Special lighting systems and underwater cameras were installed on the wreck's exterior and interior. The moment the first human divers entered the U-boat, the mission transformed from exploration to something more like an exhumation. Inside, the U-boat was like a ghost ship frozen in time. The tight corridors, barely wide enough for a person in diving gear, gave way to eerie silence and dim green light. Bunks still held crumpled sheets. A table in the mess hall displayed rusted utensils and a tin coffee cup. A typewriter sat idle with a page half-typed. The sense of abandonment was overwhelming, as if the crew had simply vanished mid-routine. And then, the divers found the remains. At least 6 skeletons were discovered throughout the submarine. One sat slumped near the engine room, still wearing remnants of a uniform. Another lay in the captain's quarters, a pistol by his side, gripping a scorched photograph, its image too faded to identify. These were not just mechanical remains of war. These were human stories, frozen in a cold grave. The air inside was stale, tainted by rust and time, and heavy with a sense of tragedy. The preservation was so complete, it felt staged, as if U-977 had become a monument to secrets never meant to be unearthed. What brought the crew to such a silent, isolated end? No one can say for sure, but what's clear is that the U-boat didn't just carry sailors, it carried ghosts. In the dimly lit torpedo room of U-9177, divers stumbled upon something that would shake the entire recovery mission. Behind a rusted false panel, almost invisible to the naked eye, they discovered a sealed crate. It was heavy, secured tightly, and wrapped in thick chains. Once brought to the surface and opened under strict safety protocols, its contents would plunge the dive team into one of the most chilling discoveries in post-war exploration. Inside, wrapped in layers of oilskin, were items that defied easy explanation. First came stacks of documents, some typed, others handwritten, all preserved remarkably well. Encrypted notebooks filled with strange symbols and numerical sequences followed. But what truly raised alarm were several small unmarked vials, accompanied by syringes and glass ampules. Their purpose was unknown, but their careful packaging suggested high importance or high risk. Speculation ran wild. Had U-977 been carrying materials for a covert biological experiment? Could these vials be remnants of a Nazi chemical weapons program? A biohazard team was rushed to the site. The vials were immediately quarantined, sealed in lead containers, and sent to a secure facility for analysis. To this day, their exact contents remain undisclosed. The documents offered even more disturbing insights. Among them were navigational maps leading to Argentina, complete with docking coordinates and detailed plans for sea-to-land entry points. A series of pages listed shortwave radio frequencies and cipher keys. But most unsettling was a notebook filled with the repeated phrase, Operation Phoenix. No official records have ever mentioned such an operation. Was this an attempt to mislead or a real mission erased from public history? The repetition, almost obsessive in nature, hinted at something deeper, perhaps a classified escape plan or a post-war contingency never enacted. As historians and cryptographers began decoding the recovered materials, even stranger references emerged. One file mentioned Project Valkyrie 2, which appeared to be a continuation of the infamous plot to assassinate Hitler, but this time tied to potential foreign partnerships in South America. There were also descriptions of experimental technologies, an acoustic-guided torpedo, a device resembling radar cloaking, and mentions of etheric energy, a term often linked to Nazi pseudoscience and the quest for so-called Wunderwaffe, or wonder weapons. Perhaps most ominous of all was a single folder bearing the Nazi eagle and the chilling stamp, Nur für den Führer, or the Führer only. Its contents have not been released. The government, now in possession of it, refuses to comment, citing national security. What was U-977 really transporting? Evidence points to a web of secrets far more complex than just escape routes. It carried the shadow of a regime unwilling to die, and perhaps a plan for it to rise again. Among the artifacts recovered from U-977, one stood out above all others for its haunting personal touch. The captain's journal, found tucked inside an oilskin pouch. The leather-bound book had survived decades underwater. Its pages, though water-stained and fragile, revealed a psychological descent into fear, disillusionment, and desperation. The journal provided a rare glimpse, not just into the mechanics of the U-boat's final mission, but into the mind of a man at the helm of something he no longer understood or believed in. The early entries began formally, with mission logs and coded references to cargo and coordinates. But as the days progressed, the tone shifted dramatically. The captain wrote of conflicting orders from Berlin and referred to high-level directives that made no tactical sense. There were mentions of a sealed crate being placed aboard under direct SS supervision, along with warnings not to open it under any circumstances. A recurring phrase appeared, delivering the final art. Its meaning remains unclear, but many historians believe it was either a code name for a piece of high-value cargo or a metaphor for something more ideological, perhaps the survival of the Nazi regime in another form. Whatever it meant, it was clear the captain no longer supported the mission. One of the final entries read, "I no longer know who we serve. The Reich is lost. This ship is a coffin. I do what I must to keep it sealed forever." This chilling line has led experts to believe the captain deliberately scuttled the submarine not to flee, but to bury something forever. Whether it was a dangerous secret, a weapon of unimaginable power, or his own overwhelming guilt, we may never know. But the intent was clear: silence, secrecy, and self-destruction. Elsewhere in the U-boat, the dive team uncovered even more baffling items. Behind the radio room, a hidden compartment contained a heavily modified Enigma machine. Unlike standard models used during the war, this version had additional rotors and wiring, suggesting it was built for ultra-secure communication. Cryptographers theorize it may have been used to send coded messages to Nazi sympathizers or covert cells in South America long after the fall of the Third Reich. In the galley, among rusted cookware and storage containers, divers found something entirely unexpected. Several gold bars, stamped with the Nazi swastika. Each bar matched gold documented as missing from occupied European banks during the war. Their presence aboard U-977 suggests the submarine wasn't just fleeing, it was carrying the financial seed for something that was meant to come later. But perhaps the most unsettling find came from a small velvet-lined box tucked away in a storage locker. Inside were religious and occult artifacts, including a relic believed to be a fragment of the Spear of Destiny, the lance that, according to legend, pierced the side of Christ. The Nazi elite had long been fascinated by occult power and mythical artifacts. This discovery only deepens suspicions that U-977's mission went far beyond politics or warfare. It may have been an attempt to preserve or resurrect something far older and far darker than any regime. The discovery of U-977 has stirred a hornet's nest of theories, speculations, and disturbing possibilities. Its near pristine condition, remote location, and secretive cargo have ignited debate not just among historians, but among intelligence analysts, conspiracy theorists, and skeptics alike. What was this U-boat doing thousands of miles from its known patrol routes? And more importantly, what was it carrying? One of the most provocative theories suggests that U-977 was part of a last-ditch escape plan for Nazi Germany's highest-ranking officials. Whispers of Adolf Hitler fleeing to South America have persisted for decades, despite strong historical consensus that he died in Berlin in 1945. Some theorists claim the U-boat may have been part of Operation Feuerland, an alleged initiative to create safe havens in South America. Argentina, known for harboring war criminals after the war, appears prominently in U-977's recovered navigation maps, fueling suspicions that this wasn't just a submarine on the run, but a vessel meant to deliver something or someone of immense value. Another theory paints the submarine as a floating vault, a secure archive for the Reich's most sensitive materials. The encrypted documents, modified Enigma machine, and sealed crates aboard point toward this possibility. If U-977 was never meant to reach a destination, but instead disappear into